Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. I've been a little reluctant to tackle the subject that I'm going to speak about today because there is it started as a spat, then it became a feud, and it's an ongoing feud between Nuno Bettencourt and Richard Fortus, two guitar players that I deeply admire, men that I love. Oh God, it's going to be difficult to pick a side on this one, but I'm going to try and react to some of the things that have been said, and a lot of this stuff's pretty harsh. Justin Hawkins rides again. Nuno Bettencourt recently discussed the challenges of playing guitar for a pop star, and during the discussion he said even Slash would have a hard time doing so. Fellow Guns N' Roses guitarist Richard Fortus defended Slash on social media after reading the comments, prompting Nuno to fire back at him in a post of his own. So the initial remarks in question were made by Nuno during an interview with Planet Rock. The extreme guitarist, who also plays for Rihanna, explained the difficulties of playing for artists with a diverse sound. So he said, "Let me tell you something, what I had to do night after night, put on a reggae hat for one song. If I had a reggae hat, I would put it on now just for comedic effect, but you'll have to imagine that. With a reggae feel, and go into R&B, then go into some punk rock." Maybe he means literally he had to wear a reggae hat, which, you know, could be, you could argue that's cultural appropriation, but so, yeah, he probably doesn't mean an actual hat. But then he doesn't talk about hats. Anyway, forget about the hats. He said put on a reggae hat for one song with a reggae feel, and then go into R&B, then go into some punk rock and pop rock that she did, and then club tracks. All sorts of things, all those different feels. Bettencourt said, "I'm sorry, most of the guitar players who I admire could not in their lifetime play that gig. I mean that in the most complimentary way possible." I'm not sure how that can be complimentary. Slash is one of the greatest rock guitar players of all time, but I guarantee, and he'd be the first to tell you, that if he jumps up and he's got to play a clean intro to Rude Boy from Rihanna, it ain't happening. So a few days after the interview was published, Richard Fortus, who's been with Guns N' Roses since 2002 and thus played with Slash since 2016, posted a screenshot of one of the articles on his Instagram. The headline he posted read, "Nuno Bettencourt says most guitarists could not in their lifetime play with Rihanna, even Slash." And Fortus said, "I have to respectfully disagree." That's what he wrote in the caption of his post. "Nuno is one of the greats, for sure. However, there is very little Slash couldn't do on guitar if he wanted to." I think that's the bit that's if he wanted to in brackets is the passive-aggressive bit, I think, which probably stoked the fires. "I toured with Rihanna prior to Nuno, and I spent a lot of time playing with Slash. That gig wouldn't be a struggle for him." So I think he's used the word respectfully, so it makes it okay to say anything you want at that point. But then, and he's sticking up for his bandmate. Nothing wrong with that. Richard Fortus is a lovely man, and we follow each other on Strava because we like running. True story. But Nuno's brilliant as well. I mean, this is what makes it so difficult for me. I feel like I'm stuck in the middle of two people I really admire. Anyway, the day after Fortus's post went up on Instagram, Nuno took to his own social media to address the Guns N' Roses guitarist argument. Read his full statement below, is what my research says. So I'm going to read this. "Welp. I knew this was eventually coming. You can't be blessed and be on multiple guitar magazine covers at a shocking 56 years old, get this much attention for your playing and new album as a rock guitarist without another guitarist stirring up some shit. I'm responding to this not because I give a shit about what this guitarist thinks about me, but instead because I'd hate to think my few words offended a hero of mine, Slash, and possibly f*** up my relationship with him. Fortus, I've respectively never heard you play one note in my 56 years of being alive, and I know your name from the Rihanna camp and as a replacement player in Guns. I'm sure you're a decent player, but did you really need to repost a headline that made me look like I'm bad-mouthing a fellow player, Slash?" Okay, so this is about, I think what Nuno's talking about here, if I may interject at this point, is the way headlines work in general is they often take a thing that sensationalizes the, you know, one particular sentiment within an interview just to try and get some eyes on it, really. So I think perhaps Richard has reacted to that. And now it's just all reactionary. do you know what? Part of me loves this because two great guitar players arguing over social media. You could call it a fierce and bitter rivalry. It's the beginnings of something like that, isn't it? But what it tells me is that rock is in a stronger position than it has been, because for a while there we were all hunkering down and just everyone was sticking together and being polite because rock wasn't the force that it was. So we kind of had to big each other up. And now it's kind of like we're at the point where rock is finally poking its head back above the parapet after all those years of being irrelevant. And now we've got guitar players, really talented men, arguing in public. It's brilliant. As if I'd ever think Slash isn't capable of playing any Rihanna song in his sleep. Let's get something fucking straight. To me, Slash is one of the greatest rock guitarists of my generation and of all time, period. I have to agree. In fact, Nuno Bettencourt and Slash are two of the people that made me want to play guitar in the first place. They're fucking amazing. And Richard, if you knew me at all and where my heart is, you'd know that what I meant in this statement is not about Slash or his capability. It's about rock guitarists like myself or Slash switching genres and the awkwardness of playing these feels. No shit, Slash can play these songs. Thank you so much for pointing that out as if we didn't already know that. But for me as a predominant rock guitarist, I'm obviously not as talented as you and found it a challenge to nail all the different pockets and guitar tones of genres like reggae, R&B, electronic dance, trap and pop. This is, I don't even feel good about reading this out. This is so mean. As far as you shining a light on my ridiculous statement that Slash would struggle, yes, a poor word choice on my part. I personally would hope that Slash, who is a peer and influence, would be more mature enough to understand what I truly meant as a guitarist by that comment. In mentioning Slash as an iconic rock example, I meant in general a rock guitarist would find it not a struggle, but I feel like a fish out of water as a player. That's all I meant, he says. I've got nothing but respect and admiration for Guns N' Roses and Slash. Apologies if I've unintentionally offended anyone. Wow, that's really... It just bodes well, doesn't it, for the future of rock. I love these guys. I love both of them. I love Slash. I mean, when I watched the Super Bowl halftime show this year because Rihanna was doing it, and I saw Nuno lined up and looking cool and doing his bits there. I did feel like in that particular song it was kind of like, or the particular section where he was predominantly featured on camera, it was like I felt like a guy that can play that solo, that solo. And I'm not even talking about the one on the recent album, which has blown everybody away, but a guy that can play the solo from Get the Funk Out. I mean, I'd feel bad about asking him to play just normal chords. I really would, because there was some stuff where he was sort of banging out normal chords. And he's not just one of the greatest lead players that's ever walked the earth, he's also one of the greatest rhythm players. And I think what he's acknowledging is that it wasn't comfortable for him to do the different styles, at least to do them justice. You have to be really versatile, and I suppose what he's saying is when you have a really focused remit in your band existence, and then you go and do something where you're obliged to be more versatile, it's challenging. I think perhaps he overstated the difficulty of it, and then Richard Fortus jumped on it to defend Slash, and the whole thing has just turned into something that it wasn't at all. It's a storm in a teacup, but what a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing to have, a teacup with a storm in it that's got two brilliant guitar players arguing. More of this, please. More of this. What do you think? Use the comments section below. Not to say who's the best guitar player or how difficult people would find to do Rihanna songs. I think we all know that players like Slash, Nuno, Richard Fortus. I mean, Slash played on I think he played with Lenny Kravitz, and he appeared on a Michael Jackson song, didn't he? Demonstrating almost infinite capability across a broad range of genres, from rock and pop. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, a guy like Slash can do anything. He's one of the reasons why people my age picked up the guitar. Nuno Bettencourt is one of the reasons why a lot of people my age decided to put the guitar back down, because we'll never be good enough. So these are two legends, the two of the greatest, and of course they can do anything. I think probably the point that Nuno might have been making was, But it takes a bit of work. You can't just walk into it and do it, you know. You've got to practice and think about the way I suppose it's to do with the rhythmic nuances of those different genres that you're expected to cover as a pop player. That's all it's saying, right? But I love the way this is blown up out of all proportion. It's fucking fantastic. Please, more feuds. Use the comment section below to stoke up some rivalries. Not involving me. I couldn't care less. But let's get some real action in here. This is what rock and roll needs. It's going to put music with guitars in back at the top. Justin Hawkins rides again. With love and respect to Nuno and Richard. You're both brilliant. And this is awesome stuff. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and keep coming back. Cheers. Turns out my knob was hanging out for the whole thing. Sorry. Okay.